Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all had a lovely lunch. My name is Katie Moore, and I work for Anthrologica, an independent research organisation that specialises in applied anthropology in global health. Today, I want to share with you stories of disease, aid, and early recovery from the perspectives of people of a small village called Ikoko-Mpenji. Situated in Equator Province in northwest DRC, Ikoko was at the centre of the 9th Ebola outbreak in the country, which ran from May to July 2018 and killed 33 people. The perspective of these community members help us to reflect on what happens when the international community withdraws after an infectious disease outbreak. I would like us to consider how we could be committed and should be committed to a community-centred approach to preparedness, response and recovery, and also how we should aim for all emergency health interventions to contribute to broader health system strengthening. We are more than just case numbers. These are the words of the customary chief of Ikoko-Mpenji. He and his people feel as though they've been left behind. He explains to us, we need a doctor, we need medicine, we need equipment, we need investment in our health centre, building it up so that it can save lives. Some money was invested during the outbreak, but there's nothing left to improve the structures. His question to the international community is, why did you come to save lives, only then to go and let us die again? Communities in this area have been suffering, and it is no surprise that the Ebola outbreak has exacerbated the social inequalities that have been existing. This photo is of Janina. She explains, we stand here on the grave of my husband, Shu. He died from Ebola. He was a school teacher. I also lost my grandmother, I lost my son, and I lost my grandson, as well as many other family members to the Ebola virus. Janina's struggles are ongoing, and she received limited support in what was termed as the early recovery period. No financial support, no material support, no psychosocial support. But Janina and her family are not just statistics, and they'll continue to live with the impact of Ebola forever. Her question to us is, we lost everything. Where are you now? Grief continues to be part of daily life for the people in this community. Here, Jacques shows us a picture of his daughter Irene and her 2 children. I lost Irene during the Ebola outbreak. She went to the treatment unit and she never came back. We never saw her again. I did not get to give her a proper burial because she was one of the first people to die. We never got to take her home, and she was buried by the people in the hospital. Now I'm struggling to look after her 2 children. They can't go to school, and they still cry a lot. Mainly, they're just sitting idle. Initially, Jacques received support from the response partners, but this soon dried up when the current Ebola outbreak in North Kivu was declared in August 2018. His question to the response community is, we don't have the resources and we don't have the means. How can we protect ourselves? How can I protect my grandchildren and their future? Finally, I want to present to you Father Lucia. He is one of the most famous Ebola survivors in Equator. When I was in the Ebola treatment unit, I was blessed by the bishop from Mandaka. For many weeks, my picture circulated on WhatsApp and in local newspapers. But it was when I got home that things became really difficult. I tried to give out the Holy Sacrament to the congregation, and a long line formed next to my colleague who stood beside me. People were too scared to take the Holy Communion from me. They call me the Ebola priest. His question to us is, while things will never be the same, how can we support each other in recovery and to be stronger for the next time? So in thinking about relevance, how can we answer the questions of the people of Ikoko-Mpenji? How can we listen to them and ensure that the aid that we provide is relative to their needs and their priorities, not just in the height of an emergency outbreak, but before and after? These people have asked pertinent questions of us. They've asked for investment in their health facility. They've asked for support for their infected families. But time and time again, they've emphasized their need to protect themselves from future outbreaks. They don't want to be dependent on aid, on external resources, on vertical interventions and outside responders. It can be difficult for us to hear, but sometimes we say to these communities, you must listen to us, listen to the responders, trust us, trust in the response. But we place very little value on trusting the communities themselves. It's my privilege today to be able to present these stories to you, but I urge you to listen to these voices and to the voices of all other affected and at-risk communities. This is important so that we can all commit to having a truly community-centered approach to preparedness, disease, response and recovery. Pardon me. There's a lot more that we could talk about, but if you have any questions or you'd like further discussion on community engagement or any of the work that Anthrologica has been doing around Ebola, please do feel free to come and grab me over the course of the next 2 days. I'd be delighted to talk to you further. Thank you.